Hello, I'm Atcha,
And I'm Garrett.
and welcome to the Late Night Guild Wars 2. Well, today we're gonna do the Spellbreaker, which is the new elite for the warrior. So tell us what you think about that elite spec, Garrett.
The new Elite Spec, it definitely falls into a type of role that probably a lot of people expected it to fall in. It's kind of PvP oriented. It deals with a lot of boon strip, and it has even a decent amount of might application for itself, to the point where it can stack, I believe, 24 stacks of might, unless I'm wrong at this point. There's the final trait, well, one of the final Grandmaster traits anyway, where when you do a F1 ability, a burst ability, or when you block using the counter, you tether an enemy, you keep them revealed, and you essentially get stacks of might while this thing is up. And if it's constantly up, which means that if the enemy doesn't move far away from you to break the tether, you can get up to 24 stacks of might. So this thing hits like a truck when it does that. In my quick tests, I've noticed that it can actually fully kill anybody who is a glass cannon just by using skill 5. I remember doing this on the medium dummy and then turning to the light dummy specifically, doing a skill 5, and the light dummy just fell flat. So there's a certain... It's interesting how much burst it has, but my big question and here is whether or not this will be good in PvE. Because when you look at these things, right? You look at the elite specs, and you see, for example, the Scrapper has been good mostly in PvP, but when it comes to the Berserker for the Warrior, because the Scrapper is engineer-wise, and it hasn't really been used in PvE, but when it comes to the Berserker on the Warrior, it's much more fluent in PvE than it is in PvP. Because when you go in PvP, yeah, alright, you're a Berserker, but generally the axe loses damage, the hammer loses CC potential. The mace is really the only one that gets something, which is that it puts a bit more confusion on your enemy. So if you want to be a confusion warrior, that works now. The sword is alright, but it's mostly useful in PvE, and the bow, really, it's very easy to move out of its AoE with the Berserker. And these are all the F1 abilities that the Berserker changes. And then when you look at the Spellbreaker basically, it has a counter, first of all. So it has a way of blocking and dashing out a bit more damage. And then it has its regular F1 abilities, which, as far as I can tell, are not changed. They now use 2 adrenaline bars instead of 3. But each adrenaline bar is used separate, which is very interesting. I didn't really manage to test whether each bar is separate, as in each bar counts as only 1 bar, or does it count as 3 bars like it does for the Berserker. I didn't get around to looking at that. I was mostly concerned with its applications around the PvP area. But if it does so in PvE, we might actually see the Spellbreaker come in the raid area, specifically around Keep Construct, I'm thinking. So Keep Construct deals its core mechanics are based around the fact that at some point all of its shields go down, and Keep Construct has a lot of health, but it has these shields that prevent you from doing the amount of damage that you normally should be doing against it in order to kill it. And when those shields go down, the Spellbreaker might actually be capable of dealing quite a bit of damage against it. But that's unfortunately the only area, I think, in PvE where it can do anything significant, anything of any grand importance. Apart from that, I don't really see it seeping into PvE all that much. It seems to be focused. Even the elite skill, it's a giant dome that blocks projectiles. That seems to be such a world versus world team thing, because you have your entire squad under attack from projectiles, and all of a sudden, boom, there's this big dome around them. And it lasts for, I think, a whopping 10 seconds. There's
Yeah.
no way around that one.
So probably this, as you said, yeah, it's gonna be in Warrior's Roll because it's probably gonna be really good. Maybe it will replace the shields, but we never know. It will be good though.
That's possible, yeah. The thing that I liked most about it is it has some taunt, which is very good because it doesn't really give you that much mobility. And again, it has the heal. The heal is like super awesome. You lose all your boons and all your conditions, but you essentially get half the health of your warrior back. It's like 12k or something like that. That's ridiculous. That in and of itself can win fights, because, like I said, you have the reapplication of might for you on the on one of your grandmasters. So the only thing you have to do is press F1, make sure that the enemy doesn't break the tether. So, keep after them, use the little mobility that you have or the taunt to keep them there. It's so easy to do it. And it gives you such a good feeling to do it, because you get this very bruiser-like feel from it. That's what I liked most about the warrior, well, the Spellbreaker, to be fair. It's the fact that it feels very warrior-y, rather than it feeling more like, I don't know, I don't know what to call the Berserker. The Berserker, it's not that it felt wrong in PvP, it's just that it didn't really seem to enter the scene all that easily.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
what do you think though about that he gets daggers though, as a weapon?
Oh, the daggers. The daggers.
You said
So,
you like him
as
and all that.
as weapon skills, the daggers are amazing. They have nice animations. They have a slow attack speed, which is very interesting. Most daggers, as you might know, are very fast. You get in like with a thief or with what else has daggers?
Druid
I forget.
or ranger.
Yeah, the soul beast, I suppose.
Yeah,
What
that
else?
as well.
Oh, Necromancer. Necromancer also has main hand daggers, right? And you go in there and you do these very rapid scales, and it feels very, very nice. But the thing is, usually daggers have like 4 hits, where most weapons only have 3 hits. And it's a little longer, but it's always so fast that you almost don't notice that they introduced a new skill in between there. Well, a new step in the auto attack, as it were. And the thing with the Warrior's daggers, it only has 3, but it attacks real slowly. And I would say that the auto attack, I'm not particularly that much into it. There's basically a leap skill, kind of like a Heart Seeker. Same drill, except you don't need the enemy to be below 50% health. It just hits really hard, and it closes a gap. There's the 5th skill. The 5th skill is amazing. It's just a fan of knives in front of you. I gotta say, I don't really understand how the F1 ability, the burst skill. I don't really understand how that one works. I kept on trying to do it, and I did it, and I hit, but I'll be damned if I saw the animation all that clearly. Maybe it was because I constantly fought, and I wasn't really paying attention to animations when I was doing that one. But as design, if that's what you're asking, I'm not a huge fan of the daggers on Warrior, because heavy armor with puny daggers just, I don't know, it just doesn't strike me all that well. But if it's PvP, honestly, when it comes to PvP, I just don't care about how it looks. As long as it's effective, for me that's good, because PvP is all about effectiveness. It's not about looking good. It's not about fashion wars.
Of course, yeah.
And overall, I'd say, as from a PvP perspective, not a PvE one, because we didn't get the PvE one at the end of the day. I really like the Spellbreaker. It has a lot of potential, and presuming that it can, in fact, that it still has the survivability that it currently has when the game comes out, I'd say it'll probably be one of the one of the builds up there for PvP. If not, at least in World vs. World, it'll definitely find a place.
I mean, to say the truth, he's broken as hell. He needs a lot of nerfs.
Yeah, a lot of them need to be toned down a bit, though. So yeah, that there's the skill 5 in particular, I think.
Oh, skill 5. I remember that skill 5 you did with me on the thief.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
my
basically
God.
killing people while they're in stealth, because I don't know where you are, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, the AoE is huge.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the Spellbreaker, a quick view on it. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. We'll see you again in the next video.
See ya!